Thank you for coming to this service today. Thank you for taking time in this busy season. Thank you for knowing that time spent worshiping God is important and necessary. Thank you. As we learn to speak, thank you comes early in our vocabulary. My kids were born in a decade where sign language was all the rage. More, all done, milk, and thank you were the first words that they learned. In my childhood, I remember a song, maybe you know it. There are two little magic words that can open any door with ease. One little word is thanks, and the other little word is please. From an early age, we learn words to show our gratitude. More recently, scientists have discovered that gratitude is more than a social convention. It is nourishing to our psyche. As loneliness and despair have become epidemics, studies have shown that a posture of gratitude can make us happier, can lead to longer life and more fulfilling relationships. I don't imagine I'm saying anything surprising when I tell you that gratitude is important. And, as it so often does, the gospel points us to a reality that thanksgiving in God is so much bigger than we might expect. Today, it does that with the story of the 10 lepers. In his travels, Jesus comes across 10 lepers who call out to him. These would have been deeply disenfranchised people. For starters, Luke writes that Jesus was traveling in a region between Samaria and Galilee. There is no region between Samaria and Galilee. They border each other. So anyone on this border who lived there or was standing there would be among people who may not like each other. This was a region of conflict and of uncertainty. Additionally, we know that leprosy is a disease that left people completely separated from their community. It is highly contagious, and people who were afflicted with it were deemed literally untouchable. Add to the fact that people understood that those with this disease were punished by God, and it's pretty easy to understand why others may simply just avoid those with leprosy. This is a situation where 10 people were fully disconnected from any support or connection. They are the ones who called out to Jesus. After the lepers go to a priest and they're made clean, one of the 10 returns. This Samaritan prostrates himself at Jesus' feet and gives thanks. And Jesus says, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well." Remember, this man has already been cured of his disease. The priest of the temple healed him before he returned to Jesus. In other words, the healing being offered by Jesus has nothing to do with leprosy. Instead, the wellness offered by Jesus is a future, lived in faith. It is an understanding that his days will be brighter, that his health will be better, and his life will exist on one fewer border. The time horizon of the Samaritan's thank you is not one that just looks back. It is one that is framed by eternity, sketched by his understanding of future promise, of his continued covenant with God. His thank you is strengthened and fortified by his faith. He made an intentional choice to turn around and return to offer thanks to God. That is what real thanks looks like. And it may explain why he is only one of the 10 who did that. The Greek word for thank you is eucharistio. There are other words for thanks in the Bible, but this one implies being actively grateful, to place one's thanks upon another. The root of the word Eucharistio is charis, which means grace, and from that word is derived chara, which means joy. We are reminded in the very word that grace and joy are both given and received in the act of thanksgiving. Eucharistio is also the word where we get our word Eucharist. When we take the bread of life and the cup of salvation, we are given gifts that we can be thankful for, and we come forward imitating the Samaritan leper with Jesus. I'm not saying that it will relieve us of our greatest burden, as was true for the Samaritan in the story, but by offering our thanks to God, we are given grace and joy and are fortified for life ahead. In thanks, we join together, we are one body, and we experience a moment of grace where our gaze is fixed on eternity, where our context is only holy, and we can sit in God's abundance, not only in our past, but in our future. This is the faith that can make us whole. This is the faith that can make us well. Thanks be to God.